Okay, I just arrived. The messenger again on roads this old postal van would have never expected to be at. The silence, first and foremost. Wow, I spent the last few days in Lisbon, so this is a blessing. I'm on my way to go to Rocha da Mina, which is an ancient temple dedicated to Endovélico, which is a very interesting god for the Lusitanians, which is the old tribes, I guess, or at least part of the old tribes that lived in what we now call Portugal. A very fascinating culture, and I want to dive in more into their ideas of religion, their ideas of living, their ideas of culture. That over there is the ancient site, I believe. This rock formation. This is where the ancient temple of Endovélico is. As in many places in Portugal, there's a dry river. I guess this used to be a bridge. That is gone. And this is the site up there. Just like in many other places, it seems clear that there is such a worship for nature, which I think is interesting. Also given current circumstances of how we deal with nature and how we treat it. And it used to be the most sacred thing. And I think that's been interpreted in many different ways. But for me, looking at something like the Convento dos Capuchos, where monks literally turned I guess, natural site into something holy and into a cloister, into a monastery, is like a modern attempt at doing something like this. Yet in ancient times, if we look at something like the Externsteine in Germany, for example, or Rocha da Mina here in Portugal, it seems to be this worship for something special in nature. Because looking around, this is all more forest, and you don't see these, I guess, spiky stones. Like you see bigger round ones somewhere in Sintra, for example, all the time. But this is a very distinct rock formation that I think aids the ancient ancestors of ours to look at this and revere it as something special. So let's see more of the site. Okay, so there've definitely been some worshippers here, leaving some ribbons in the tree, as well as, there's an altar. Seems like this has been a minute since someone really nurtured it, but you can clearly see that someone still reveres this old god. Almost forgotten. The stairs are also slowly fading away. And it's one of those staircases that also lead into a place that kind of ends nowhere. And it's so peaceful. Okay, now here we are at, I guess, what seems to have been buildings at one point at Rocha da Mina. And it's interesting, I think the amount of archaeology done is super minimal. First of all, this is, I think, barely the foundation. So if you dig, you probably will find a lot more. Yet it's also the middle of nowhere in Portugal. This is really so far from a lot of places. So there's one sign, I think, that says that this is an ancient place. There's no really way to get here, or a parking lot or anything. I'm like parked halfway in a field. So being here feels special because it's also so raw and authentic still. And yet it's puzzling what it could have been. Besides a lot of traces of animals that have definitely conquered this place, it's super fascinating. Apparently they left as soon as the Romans started to inhabit this area, or even before that. Okay. How bizarre. So this is the best preserved house there is. Now this is very curious. This site is getting weirder and weirder. To be honest, when I just looked this up on Google Maps, it basically just showed the staircase up there that I've showed you, and it also showcased a bit of the ruins. I've never seen this building. And this looks more modern, yet it also similarly kind of uses the same architecture than the older ruins. A bit different, but also quite similar. And these bows that lead seemingly more downward. Now, this is a lower house than the other entrance we've seen down there. So, how deep does this go? The amount of mosquitoes in there is crazy. This also looks like one of those big stones you could create grain with. I'll go meditate on top there and try to see if there's something that I can feel and sense besides just filming.